We are back, Steiny and Guru. Styles in for Steiny with the crossover. But football season is here, and what better way to kick it off than with 95.7 The Game's Red and Gold Summit. Join all your favorite 95.7 The Game hosts at Fieldwork Brewing Company in San Ramon to welcome in the football year on Tuesday, August 29th. Willard and Dibs will start it off at 2 p.m. Then the summit will go from 4 to 6 p.m. All the hosts will debate and answer the most burning questions surrounding the red and gold during a live show right in front of you, our loyal listeners. Again, that's Tuesday, August 29th at Fieldwork Brewing Company, Taproom, and Beer Garden in San Ramon, now featuring the Lynx Top Golf Simulator.
You better be there. That's find out what hammer JD drops that day. He was the MVP of the Warrior Summit a few weeks ago.
The Clay Thompson.
Am I there?
You know what?
Are you not? You were there this time.
I don't know. I would love to be, but I don't think I was asked this time.
I told Alan.
I'm just showing up, JD.
Yeah, I said we could do openers, Willard. I said, Alan, come on. You ought to do the first 30.
I'm just showing up.
That's a good idea. We are the opener, actually, for that.
No doubt.
For that event. So.
Hey, Willard, I got to say something, man.
Come on.
I didn't see JD. You come in here with In-N-Out, which was provided by the company.
Yes.
I'm fighting for my life with soda.
And we got to tell the listening audience, because sometimes they don't know, like, you are being authentic.
Okay.
This man looked at a table full of In-N-Out and people surrounding him, going back for seconds, and you said no thanks. I want to tell the audience.
I judge you because you're my dude.
Yeah.
JD, I saw him walk over like a waiter with the burger, and I think it was fries.
Oh, yeah,
and just place it at the desk of Stiles. And you know me, I'm Terrell Owens. I love me some me. I go, oh my God, why would he not even ask me if I wanted any?
I
and then
did.
I said, my dude's on a bum wheel. He tore his Achilles.
But you heard me.
Yeah, but
you heard me before.
I didn't hear you before.
I said go,
but
and you said no.
We're good.
When
I
yelled state
but
of
you
the
did
art.
it because my man's on a one wheel.
Yeah, he's
not my wife.
No, but I give up on well, it's two reasons, though.
Me.
It's two reasons. You're making me sound like a better person than I am because it's two reasons. Number one, I did make fun of him on my way. I said, you could get that and get back in the same time that you could go to the bathroom. He's trying to make it sound like he can't make it to the other end of the building.
It would have been tight.
Break.
It would have been tight.
But the second reason I did it was clearly to butter his ass up because it sounds to me like you've been waiting for this moment for 48 hours.
Oh, I have been.
All right.
I'm hanging out. And
so look me in the eye as your waiter.
No, I am.
As your waiter.
Don't try to
look me in the eye and come down my road.
I'm sitting here. I'm hanging out in Santa Cruz yesterday, and I'm like, what's going on? What is this? So I need to start with you. What was your thought process on the what happened to the excitement with Brock Purdy post that you put out? I just want to get your thought process first.
It was a question, and yes, it was a rhetorical one because my thought process is Brock Purdy does what he does last year, and the normal 49er fan or human reaction is you're watching it and you're going, this can't be real. This is amazing. But then it kept happening every week. 49ers get all the way to the NFC title game, and we know the story. But when you're watching it in real time each week, we went from this is disbelief to this is incredible, and it's a Disney movie. Like this is going to be there'll be a movie about this called Relevant if the guy wins the Super Bowl. We have the script all set, and then he gets hurt and he leaves. And I understand the injury aspect of this, but it's been a few weeks now where we've totally understood that the injury is gone as well as anyone could have hoped.
Yeah.
And during the period of time when we last saw him play, and now, we've worked ourselves through a bunch of speculative info, whether it be how we feel Trey is treated, whether it be the injury, whether we've just talked ourselves back into the idea of, nope, this can't be real. And we have decided that what we saw last year is not real and not repeatable. And instead of being excited about it, we're dismissive of it.
And that was where you thought.
That's what I want to know. Where did the excitement that I listened to from week 13, 14, 15, 16, playoffs, second week playoffs, third week, that excitement, where'd it go? Because nothing happened between his injury and now that should squash it.
So I don't think that the excitement has waned, right? I don't think it's necessarily gone away. I think that people are a bit uncomfortable because of how Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, they're so all in. I think it does just make people uncomfortable because me and Goo went back and forth about, well, they gave Trey the keys. It just sounds different right now, right? The Albert Breer piece that we talked about, it sounds different. That's number one.
It should sound different. Yeah.
It should. I agreed with that.
Yeah.
Now, the second part of this is, and I would look at people like us in the room, the media, simply because I don't think that it's not as much about how Trey has been kind of reported and more about how people aren't able to go to practice, right? And people don't like, even if it's whether it's Trey or Brock, they don't like excuses. And I think that some of the, I guess, negativity or lack of excitement has just become that Brock has become this golden boy. And I think it just has turned some people off to that, even though we all like Brock and we all think that Brock could win a Super Bowl. Can you just report it, right? It doesn't have to be every interception Brock throws. There's an essay in MLA format about why it happened. And I think it just starts to tick people off. I think they just want, hey, just report it like you would report everybody else. We know Brock's the guy. Just report it. He doesn't have to be perfect. See, I just think there's just an apologist aspect.
Okay. I would submit, this is my take on what you just said. Mm-hmm. I would submit that goes both ways, and that is on the receiver of the info, not the delivery of it. And this is what we talked about it at the beginning of the week. Mm-hmm. Trey and Brock, you can pick whichever one you hate or want or whatever, they've turned into Fox News and CNN. Mm-hmm. And you line up at the end of every practice, and you want to go to the side that you want to go to and be told exactly what you want to hear. Mm-hmm. So if you're a Trey person and he threw a pick, you want to know why we can explain the pick away. But if he threw a touchdown, you want a damn victory lap. But if you're a Brock person, same thing. If he throws the ball, but he's going against the first team defense.
Yeah.
So those are good players, so it's okay. And if he throws a touchdown, then we got to do a victory lap. Look, they're all going to throw picks. They're all going to throw touchdowns. At a certain point, some sort of logic or calm needs to come over, and everyone needs to realize, forget what side you're on or which reporter you like or what the stats are. What the 49ers think is obvious.
Yeah.
It's completely obvious. And they're not saying all these nice things about Brock because they like him better as a person.
No.
That's what they believe.
No,
they do not like what they have seen from Trey Lance for 3 years.
I hear you. We've spent most of the time talking about how the pick never made sense, right? And it's still
a fair point,
and it still doesn't now. All I'm saying is I hear you on your take about Fox versus CNN. I would just say there seems to be a lot more of whichever one is the Brock one. There's a lot more outlets that seem to be in that camp, and it's not even. I get what you're saying in terms of how it is accepted. I think when you look at the collection of Niners media, right, how much is on whose side, it makes sense that there are more people on Brock's side because Brock's the guy now.
Because he's a starting quarterback.
Right, so I'm not.
And they're talking to the team.
But he's had the most success.
Yes, he has.
Exactly.
All I'm saying is, as a society, people love to pick you up to tear you down.
Well, sure.
When Brock was, Brock is balling all this stuff, now it's just, somehow, I don't know how it could be
tear down phase.
Yeah, how we could be there that quickly, but I do feel like that's where it is, and ultimately, this conversation, as much as I've been teasing you about it, none of this matters once the actual games start. But I do think there's a part of, in terms of the excitement, I think it's just being like, all right, man, like this guy can't walk on water, or maybe he can. Who knows?
What's up, JD? Couple of things there, a couple of different things. I do think there are some, depending upon who you consider media, I think there are some that have taken the approach that you as far as explaining mistakes away. I think there are those that have done that for Trey just as much as there are those that have done that for Brock.
That are looked up the same way.
The difference, though, is that it is, generally speaking, the beat writers and those that have covered the team for a long time that are the ones that are doing it for Brock. My opinion on that is that they see the traction that some of the lesser reporters, or what I would deem to be fringe reporters, get, and they feel the need to go out of their way to make sure that they're letting everybody know what's really going on. and they're doing it. But we live in an era where everybody now can choose who they deem to be legitimate versus not legitimate. I'm not here to say who I think is and who I think isn't, but I think there is a little bit of those that have been around and covered the damn league and covered this team for a decade or a couple of decades in some instances. They look at, Johnny come lately who's doing their own podcast, breaking it down like they're, you know
what, Jay? The CNN and Fox, that's a grand slam. You going with what you just said right there, that's incredible. But at the end of the day, to me, we're not talking about the subject at hand.
Like I think, Alan, I would say this, and I'm not coming down your road, but I would say you and others lend more credibility to, like, you take what a lot of people that are in that I don't want to say mainstream or old media, but a lot of the guys that have been around and covered teams for a long time, like, I think you take the lesser known folks and give them more credence. And I think you're not alone in that, but I think a lot of people do that. So when the guys that have been around for a long time, the established guys are saying, no, it actually isn't this way, you think that they're caping in essence, or
it's a cycle. It's a cycle. Because like I said, I got a bum wheel. I'm not there, right? So I'm seeing, I'm seeing this, and then I'm seeing that. As most things do, the truth lies somewhere in the middle.
No, the truth is by the players. I don't give a damn who's reporting it. That's the bottom line, and that's why if I had $1 for everybody that's telling me, Guru, you switching up, I'm not switching up. I'm reacting to Trey Lance on the football field. So that's why I saw something I was looking for, grading on a curve. I ain't said the kid had to be perfect. Right. Willard, I'm looking like, okay, all I've been caping for is an opportunity. Sunday was an opportunity, and I didn't see the kid or any growth, Jay. So I never, to what you said, you set it up perfectly. I never, I'm choosing this over that. I'm looking at what's the product on the field, and nobody can get mad at me for looking at what Brock Purdy did, which was almost a 99 out of 100, to undefeated in the regular season, 2 wins in the playoffs. Like, that means something, Alan.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. What's up, Jay?
Go ahead.
No, I'll be very short on this. As far as the way Trey played Sunday, as somebody that had been at every practice until they went to Vegas, and I've been in here this week, so I haven't been the last 2 days, he looked worse in the game than he had at practice. Right. Now, he hadn't looked great at practice, but I will give you that for a form of context, and you can decide whether you trust my eyes or not, as people that haven't been out there every day. But he did look better at the practices than he did in the game. He did not look as lost then as he did there.
Guru, I'll also say this. Where that energy that you just exerted, where that comes from. It was
truth.
No, but don't let it get to you. Okay. I know what's driving that. Right. I know what's driving that. Don't let the voices get to you. I know what's being said.
And I don't, Willard.
Here's the thing. Here's what I think is one of the key reasons why there is this discord. The world is yelling for Trey to get more reps, and the 49ers are like, we've given them to him. You just don't see them. You're not there. It's not just what's on TV. Like, take us, I know we like to do this sometimes. Take our market and pretend it was Philly or Boston or New York. Do you know what fans would say about a player who is still got a base asking for him to get
they'd run him out of town
in his third year? I know he's been hurt, but he's not been that hurt. He's been through 3 training camps, and they aren't digging it. I don't know how any other way to say this. He's been through 3 camps, and Kyle isn't digging it. So, Alan, if you want to go back to the pick, I think that's as fair gets.
Who would disagree?
Go back to the pick and ask all kinds of questions there. But if you are still running around in these streets talking about how, Trey needs a chance.
We got calls all day.
He's had nothing but chances. You have got to go into your workplace and show your bosses that you are worthy of the job. It doesn't matter what you do in this life.
And I'll even say that I think you could make a case that he hasn't gotten chances. I even think that's fair. Right. I think that's fair. But given the circumstances with the 49ers' expectations and the way Brock Purdy played at the end of last year, it sucks because he got hurt twice.
Doubt. Which was a chance.
But them's the breaks.
And
that's unfortunate.
And I agree with you. I would disagree saying, like, the term is he got the number of reps that the Niners are willing to give him for their current situation. That's what it, and I wouldn't, that it is what it is. They want to win a Super Bowl. They have a Super Bowl ready roster, which goes back to the pick. I don't think that they have given, the runway, that's what, and I hate to continue to bring it up, the runway that Trey needed, they couldn't give him. They just couldn't give it to him.
I'm still torn on that because it's TBD. You know, I think that if you look at the 49ers' behavior, again, I am not in position to tell anybody where their career is going to be 2 years from now, call anybody a bust when they've only started 4 games. I'm in no position to do that. But it appears to me that the 49ers might feel that way. And they are way more educated on this than any of us. So when we say, for example, he needs to be given a runway, I bet the 49ers feel like they've given it to him.
For their current situation.
But even beyond that, you know what I mean? Like
you're talking about, hey, you're the starter in last year.
And I try to say this the day after it happened, there's a reason they went and brought Jimmy back, and it was not just because, opportunity fell in our lap. No. They didn't like what they saw.
And listen to where
they didn't like what they saw.
Sure, and that's why I was trying to say to Guru, the buy-in that we're seeing with Brock, they Trey's got the key. Trey's got the keys.
More. They didn't see that from Lance.
Right.
That's all.
No, yeah. All I'm saying is and I get it. It's a business. You got to keep it pushing. The only runway thing I have is they decided that they were going to go with Jimmy in that first year. We know there was the finger thing, but they had already decided they were going to go with Jimmy. If Anthony Richardson, hopefully he does not, but if he goes down tomorrow, right, and somebody comes in, they're not going to make the playoffs because they're not going to be good, but somebody comes in and wins 6 games in a row, Anthony Richardson's still going to start next season because it's a different runway. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know that to be the case.
And it's not, those aren't the same scenario.
And number two,
but that's my point.
But the Colts' goal is completely different. Nobody thinks that the Colts are going to potentially contend for a Super Bowl, and the Niners were proven right in that they did. Every time they picked Jimmy over Trey, whether it be Trey's rookie year or the fact that they flanked him last year, they ended up in the NFC title game both times. So the idea that they were a Super Bowl contender was confirmed.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
I totally do. Let me just get this off for you and JD and Allen. I believe Kyle thought he had a phenom, and I believe now, looking at in totality, everything that's transpired, year one, if Trey was the guy that maybe Kyle thought that could pick it up fast, he might have been the starter in year one. So we started year two. I'm thinking there might have been a failure, not in just a savage way, but Kyle knew this kid couldn't do it like they're doing for the other guys in different. Mac Jones started coming out. Okay, they didn't have Super Bowl aspirations. He started. They went to the playoffs. But I look at that now like Trey probably didn't instill that confidence to where Kyle was like, you know what, kid, you're ready. And Jay, this is what I saw to think you can ride this ready-made model to the Super Bowl. So I don't think a lot of people are holding that against Trey. Now I'm doing the research and I'm starting to think nobody said it was impossible that he could have been named a starter his rookie season.
Well,
and he wasn't ready then.
Remember, that season was going sideways, and Jimmy was given that game in Chicago.
I'll never forget it. Had a great game.
And if he didn't win it, there might have been a change. So I think he was open to it.
And the reason though at that point was they would have been 3-6, and basically the season would have been over. Right. So at that point you're switching from try to win mode to developmental mode.
But I would be very surprised if he had done it before the year even started.
Exactly.
Like one of the things that
they typically don't. They typically don't.
That's the answer.
They wanted to give him time. They wanted to give him a year. That's why Jimmy was on the roster.
I mean, if people still think he's a project now, then what was he 3 seasons ago?
And that's what I guess.
So that's number one. And
they wanted to give him a year, make him the starter. They did it.
What do you have for that?
Which is exactly what Mahomes' experience was, for example. He had a whole year to just sit behind a proven almost quarterback. who we know well. His name is Alex Smith, and he had won a division the year before, and he takes the team to the playoffs, and they gave Mahomes a year to watch. I just, like, there's a huge thing that's underlying on this that I think that is missing from the conversation also.
Which is?
Well, like, the 49ers do not have an option to jam Trey Lance into a Super Bowl contending roster because the whole roster would revolt.
Right.
You can't, like, unless.
But last year, that was, what was that?
Right, because at the beginning of the training camp, at the beginning of camp, the thought was Jimmy's gone, and your other options are Brock Purdy and Nick Sudfeld. Now we've got it confirmed that Fred Warner and Trent Williams are already whispering about Brock. Mike Silver's reporting that when Jimmy gets re-signed, we might be a couple of weeks away from this team thinking, you can't start your second best guy. You can't start your third best guy. Mooch said it to us yesterday. Credibility cooked. And like the locker room would be gone. Like if just because if Kyle came out today and been like, we got to see what Trey's got, we're going with it. Locker room cooked.
No, I hear you.
Done.
And I think it was, but I do think, and I got to get to physical therapy here, but I do also think there was a mini version of that, even though logistically it made sense, bringing Jimmy back last year because they still felt like it was unfinished business.
Sure.
So I know it's,
or they didn't trust what they saw in the
and
offseason.
they didn't, and now
in training camp,
and
he
camp
wasn't great in training camp last year.
No,
I was in denial, but that's where I'm at, Jay.
Everybody wanted to say, "Oh, the play calling this and that," and it was a freak accident. I think bringing Jimmy back, I still don't know if Trey gets ran that. Just seeing Trey in this preseason game, granted, if the Niners were willing to lose games, that was a report.
I don't believe
last
that.
season, and I don't either. You know why? Because they wouldn't have ran Trey that much. They would have worked on Trey in the pocket. They would have done those things. But they said, you know what? We got to win football games. That's why I don't believe it. But you brought Jimmy in.
People hate me saying this. And I've said it a lot. But we were headed down a path last year to where Trey Lance was going to get replaced if he hadn't gotten hurt.
I wish that would have happened.
Like that, but then
because you lost to
your point,
Bears.
you would know.
Yes, so then we would just know.
Then you would be like, okay, well, at least you've seen 6 games or 5 games or whatever. But if they were 1-2 after the Denver game or 2-3 or 3-4,
no, he wouldn't have lasted
whatever,
5 games, JD.
Like Wiseman played, and we saw he shouldn't be starting anymore. Like Wiseman can't say he didn't get a chance.
I think that the Chicago game, and I know I was there, Mark was there, like the monsoon, all of that stuff. They didn't win the game against the worst team in the league. Like that already was setting it up to be bad for Trey, even though that game was not entirely on him.
Nobody cares about monsoon.
You guys know what a turn down is? You guys watch JT O'Sullivan's videos?
About dating life in high school, but turn down.
So JT's coming on at 4:45.
Oh, nice.
All right.
Okay, and I would encourage everybody to go look at his the QB school on social media and details, because we could all watch the game and go, he looks uncomfortable, right? He looks uncomfortable, and at
missing
times
his windows, 1A, 1B.
This is all the stuff you don't see, and turn downs. In other words, wide open receiver.
It was not good.
No,
that he decided to not throw.
It's terrible, man.
That's the stuff that the coaches are seeing,
and they've been
That's what they're seeing.
Man,
that's what they're seeing.
I tried to fight the fight, man.
Yeah,
I can't. I know you still hanging on.
We got it. We got time. I'm gonna get you back. Okay, you got jokes. We got time.
Do you? Do you?
We're gonna say Trey does it.
Okay, I thought that's what you meant.
Right.
I'm like,
I called them in bogeys. Holding on.
How shocked would you be at
nothing would shock me right now.
Schefter bomb. You know what I mean?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I can't wait for crossover tomorrow. All right, Willard and Dibs 2-6.